Hi, everyone, and welcome to the analysis for episode 2. We left off in the position that you can see on the board here. After resigning, this game didn't go quite as well as the first game, and we picked up our first loss of the series. Albeit it's to a higher rated player. They were 1891 in this case, and we dropped back down to 1829 with this loss. So let's have a look. Let's go to the analysis board and have a look at what we can fix. So in the first episode's analysis, I just went through the mistakes, but I think it would be more useful if I actually went through and played back the entire game with some commentary to see maybe where I made particular mistakes. So we can see over on the right inaccuracies that were made. So let's see. So again, we go into the Scandinavian defense. And the opening here, up to this point, is fairly normal. This bishop g4, they're characterizing as an inaccuracy, saying that he should have brought out the knight, which makes sense. And maybe there's a better move here for me because I seem to lose. That advantage really drops off. But it's okay. He takes, I take, and his queen takes. And this was a mistake. And here I castled, which the computer is saying was a good move. There is also the very interesting knight to b5, which, according to the engine, is not as good. However, I think it's a little bit simpler to play because if he takes, I think he'd be very tempted to take here, and that's just not an option. So the threat, of course, is to fork the king and the rook with check. And the only defense of that, or the only good defense of that, is to bring the queen here to e5. But I really think he would think this is a blunder, or he would take some time thinking about this. So the options would be take, which is obviously bad, because that allows queen captures on b7, which will win this rook. And a lot of threats are here. And you can see the computer's giving it a +8. So that's one of the options here. But if we go back, we can see that it was actually correct to castle here. And by not retreating with his queen, now it actually gives me the option of the knight here. Because now even if he retreats all the way, now I have this bishop here. The knight can try, but I'm free to just take this. And we can see we're going pretty far down the line here, but now we're looking for a mating net almost this early in the game. And black just has a terrible position. It's absolutely falling apart. I can grab this rook, and if I wanted to at this point, I could just start trading down. Because I'm up a piece, and I have a much safer king. I have 2 pieces closer to his king than he has, than any piece that he has. So let's go back here. So what was actually played, I played this bishop here, which is an okay move. but it gives up a lot of that advantage. And like we said in the video, it takes away a lot of the squares, but it's not the best option here. And now he retreats his queen, which is a good move. And this pressuring the queen, again, is not the best move. I still have this possible knight move threatening the fork on c7. And unfortunately, I missed it again. And so we'll go back here to what was actually played. And this is where my advantage starts to drop off. So we have a few more moves, nothing overly noteworthy until this bishop blunder here. So we go from a slight advantage or an even position to, my idea here was just to trade off this bishop for the knight to open up. He would probably capture, I assume, with the d7 knight, and then I would double rooks on the d file and try to take control of the d file while his king was still in the center of the board. But I obviously didn't think about it for 1 second because he just has this queen captures, which completely crumbles my position. And for the rest of the game, all I was trying to do was to somehow get back into it. And I actually had an opportunity here. You can see it goes from minus 5.3 to minus 1.4 if I had taken this bishop. So what happens if he retakes? If he retakes, then I can take the knight with with an attack on the queen because it's supported by my queen. And the queen would have to retreat, and I could continue harassing the black queen. And then it's a matter, now it's a much more even game. It would be much more difficult for my opponent to convert this. They are up the exchange and 1 pawn. However, I would prefer my position. I know I'm at a material disadvantage, but I would actually prefer this position. So if we go back to what was actually played, once they castled here, I made another mistake. I thought that I could get this knight out of here, and then potentially, I think I was thinking about capturing with the rook, and then moving this rook up to pester the queen. But I'm not sure what I was thinking. I think I was trying to overcomplicate things as much as possible, just to make my opponent eat clock. But it obviously didn't work out in this case. And so we see a queen trade here. And now I'm just scrambling, trying to do something, trying to force them to make a mistake. Another mistake. That's a free rook. Well, a free exchange because I can recapture the bishop, but they do take. And now it's just a matter of my opponent not blundering their way into a loss. Which they don't. So they did make a couple of mistakes, notably this mistake, giving me back a piece. But now it's much too late for that. They're up a pawn and up the exchange. And their king is more active than mine. Since they can cut my king off. And it'll take me at least 2 moves to blockade this bishop here and bring the king into the game. They really have the upper hand here. And there's no real chance. We played a lot more moves. I tried to grab as many pawns as I could and keep as much my material on the board as possible. And I actually got to a good spot here where I was only -3, still completely winning for black, but I did complicate things a little bit, made it difficult for them. But as we'll see, I wasn't able to convert. This knight blunder, I was doing well, and then this knight blunder was the last straw. That gave away my last chances. And that's it. That's where I resigned. So we can take a look here at the we can take a look here at the progression of the game. So I had that big advantage where I missed the sneaky knight move to fork the king and the rook and win the rook and just win material and dominate the game. And then it slipped through my fingers with that bishop blunder, and my opponent, they played well enough to keep me from coming back in the match. So let's now go to learn from my mistakes, and we'll see if I'm able to pick out the correct move. For most of these, I've already seen what needs to be done here. Yeah, so in this case, it's this knight move. It threatens so many things like we talked about. In this situation, I think I still have the knight move because this knight is supported by the bishop. I think that's something I also missed during the game. I often forget where my undeveloped bishops are supporting, and I often miss tactics like this. Okay. So this is the main blunder of the game, of course, where I completely give away the bishop. And a better response here. What would be a better response here? I think my idea was to double up on the d file, so I might as well try that. Nope. Oh, that's why, because this is being threatened. So they're threatening to capture. What about just capturing the knight? Oh no, because it's supported by the knight. Okay. Just trying to block this any way I can. There we go. Turns out to be a simple move. Just moving the queen out of reach of this fork that was forking the rook and the queen. And now if this bishop is developed anywhere, maybe just to here, or developed maybe all the way out here, then I have this queen captures on g7 idea. And my last, the fourth big mistake here. This is when I was trying to overcomplicate things. And the correct thing to do here, as we saw, was to take this bishop, because once this knight, so knight moves is a possibility, and I would have probably recaptured. But another option, what I think they would have done, is recaptured, and then I would have recaptured this knight, put pressure on the queen, and continued to harass the black queen. And finally, the last mistake of the game, which was blundering away this knight, because the knight covers that square. I don't have much here, actually. There's not much in the position for me. I think maybe moving the king up could be an idea, moving this pawn up, which would also blunder away this knight, but then I'd have two connected pass pawns, which may be too much for my opponent to handle. Nope. Nope. Not sure what I can do there. Well, I can sacrifice a pawn to release this bishop. And maybe with that I can threaten some discoveries here. Well, let's see what the computer suggests. Okay, so it suggests I go all the way back. And again, it would be completely winning for black in this position with good play, but anything can happen, especially when we get low on the clock. Okay, so that's it for the analysis for episode 2. This game was a little bit disappointing, definitely anticlimactic because it went from a great game, right? Playing well. I missed an opportunity, but overall I was playing well. And then a simple blunder, a very low level blunder, completely lost me the game in one move. Thank you for joining. Let me know if you have any feedback for me. If you'd like to see anything else, I thought it would be nice to add the graphic of how the game went. So the where the advantage swung, which moves, and how drastic it was. And as we could see, that bishop blunder went from an almost even position to completely losing for me. So let's hope that episode 3 I can bring it back and come back to life and come to compete yet again. I'll see you then.